So this is going to be the Minecraft world that I'm going to be playing on for all of my videos, but the mic will upgrade after a few stories. I'm sorry, I just got this mic recently and I recorded the other recordings a while back, so I hope you enjoy. I'll probably put a timestamp on when the mic gets upgraded. Am I the asshole for being accused of breaking up my friend's relationship after I voiced concern? I feel like I've been unfairly painted as the bad guy in a situation involving my ex-friend and her boyfriend, so I want to know if I'm in the wrong. My friend had been homeless due to abuse from her parents. During that time, she stayed at a friend's sister's house, but overstayed their welcome and eventually had to leave. Around this period, she was also seeing a guy casually. She had told me before that sex with him was not good and she didn't take him very seriously, so I assumed it was not an important relationship to her. After she became homeless again, she ended up staying at this same guy's place for around a month while she tried to find somewhere to be more stable to live. In this time, she told me that he would also be pushy about sex. I became concerned and told her that, given her situation, the power imbalance didn't seem healthy and that he didn't have her best interests at heart. She agreed with me, but she also said that she was starting to develop feelings toward him. I told her that it was ultimately her choice, but I also think she might be seeking comfort and validation from him because of everything that was going on. At one point, she invited me to visit her work, but when I was supposed to come over, she ended up prioritizing spending time with her boyfriend instead. I felt hurt by this and messaged her to say that I was upset. She later then admitted that she had been selfish, but then told me that her coworker had repeated things I said to her about her boyfriend after she had confided with her coworker. We didn't speak for a month after that. Recently, we had a conversation for closure, and she told me that her boyfriend believes I was trying to break them up. I feel like I was the only one responding to what she told me and was expressing concern about her well-being given her situation, but now I'm being portrayed as someone who interfered with their relationship. Am I the asshole? I'm completely sad about losing a best friend I always had. No, Opie definitely is not the asshole here. Opie was doing a great job looking out for her friend, because if the boyfriend did have malicious intent, it would have been over, to be honest. This one's a long one, so I'm gonna probably have some trouble reading, but stay with me here. Am I the asshole for my social studies teacher having problems with me? Context: I, 13 to 14 female, and my social studies teacher, 45 male. I was in middle school when this happened. I have horrendous ADD, attention deficit disorder, and my social studies teacher, after 3 weeks of not being able to focus on his class is loud and almost never gets quiet unless an administrator is in the room. He tells me, ADD is a choice not to focus. I don't know what that means, but. And I say, Sir, ADD is different in everyone. He responds, I know that. I have other students with ADHD and are unmedicated. Note, he says this completely serious. Keep in mind, I said ADD and not ADHD. And he doesn't really know how to whisper, and he is saying this to a room full of kids. It's so humiliating. Also the same teacher. So I leave his class at 11:37 a.m. and I pack my stuff at 11:36 a.m., literally 1 minute before the bell rings. I did this so I wouldn't be late. I had to carry a lot of stuff, and it takes me at least 1 minute to pack up my mountain of stuff. This mean guy walks up to my desk every time I pack up and pulls me out of the room after the bell rings and has a 5 minute rant about how I never listen and respect him. So one day he walks up to my desk in front of the room and he bends over looking at me and says, Why haven't you turned in your assignments yet? I say, Sir, I'm not able to focus in your room because it's too loud in here. This guy has the nerve to say, Well, everyone can focus and be productive, so why can't you? I'm feeling brave and tired of his bullshit. Well, I first name him. Yo, OP's standing on all 10 toes, bro. Well, I first name him. Maybe because I'm not everybody. He responds with, outside in the hall, right now. So I follow him outside and I get a 25-minute rant on how to treat others with respect. And this is the same guy who chooses me last for everything. And I got first place in a competition and he gave the second kid place my prize because he had better grades than me and was more well behaved. Holy shit, bro. But anyway, I tell him, well, you don't treat me with respect. No, I did sound like an asshole saying that, but dude. I also have ADD accommodations, like I had to sit in front of the room with a work reduction, and this teacher, still social studies, didn't give me anything. That's the most important problems I've had with this man. Let me know your thoughts on what you have. I'll tell you my thoughts right now. Your teacher is a dick, bro. If your teacher knows that you have ADD, I feel like he should be at least taking the measures for you to actually be able to tap into his class. Like, personally, I do have ADHD, so if it's something I really don't give a shit about, I find it hard to focus, but I feel like the measures should be put in place whether they like it or not. And also, just straying away from that, your teacher is a super mega asshole, bro. I would hate to pull up to his class, bro. Every time you see me in his classroom, I will have the worst look on my face. I would not want to be there. A quick little story from me, too. I had a similar teacher that kind of just hated me for no reason, but I would have this language teacher, and she genuinely disliked me with a passion. Not to jump to conclusions here, I was the only colored kid in that class. But there was this one time where the bell rang, everyone had to quiet down so class could start, but no one was quieting down. This was in middle school, so we were all having our chit chat. And I was talking to my friend. I was the least obnoxious. I was just having a little one-on-one conversation. And she laughs it off. Everyone quiet down, quiet down. And it was me and my friend talking. We weren't talking that loud, I'm not trying to play the victim here, but we were the only ones talking. So what I expected her to do was like a little quiet down, but she didn't like that. She didn't like how I was talking, so she kind of shut the whole room up. She's like, "Don't show me your back," and I'm like, "What? What? You're bugging." I turn around. I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm sorry," and she goes like, "Oh, you don't respect me." I low-key didn't care. I tapped out like, but she went on a whole ass rant. And the kid I was talking to, bro, she didn't even bat an eye. Cause that kid, bro, that kid was white. I swear. No hard feelings, but bro. She was always on my dick, and it really sucked because that was the one class my parents forced me to take every year in middle school. But that's just me. I could just be an idiot. I could be the asshole in this situation. But let's get to the next story. I just found quite the stupid one. Well, I read a little bit, but let's get into it. Am I the asshole for posting a homophobic DM on my story? For a bit of context, I am bisexual, and I have many religious friends, and we are also in high school. For June, my status was, "This month, everything is gay." I thought this would be funny. So June rolls by, and I forgot to change my status, and my friend Xavier DMs me about it. Xavier says, "What's this about?" and sends a screenshot of my status. I say, "Oh, I forgot to change it, sorry." Xavier says, "Turn to Christ, change from your sinful ways. We all sin and fall short. He loves you still." I'm caught off guard by this despite knowing that I shouldn't be, since we were put in the same cabin together during the school camp and he made a really big deal about him not wanting to be anywhere near me. So I screenshot it and posted on my story with the caption, "I don't know, just thought I should out a bigot." Bigot is a new one. I'm definitely gonna add that to the dictionary. You stupid bigot. I don't know what that means. I hope it's not a slur. Alright, just search it up. A bigot is a narrow minded person who only holds obstinate, pred, beliefs and is highly intolerant of people who differ from them. So, that's a bigot. A couple people DM me about this, both being my friends. One is deeply religious, and the other is new to religion. Charlie, who's deeply religious, messages me and said I shouldn't have posted it because he doesn't like me being mean to his friend. Kyle, the newly religious guy, said I shouldn't have posted it because it wasn't really a smart thing to do, which I can see why, but he still says what I did was on par with what Xavier did. This all culminates in Charlie leaving a project that me and another friend of mine and Charlie's were working on. I don't really want him in the project anymore because of what he said, but he did say that I cyberbullied Xavier. Anyway, Reddit, am I the asshole? Off the top of my head, if I had to think about the most nothing burger situation, it would be this. First of all, OP is really dumb. Why would you post this? Genuinely. He clearly stated that he knew it was a dumb thing to do. He could see why it wasn't a very smart thing to do. So why would you post this? I feel like it really just does get to a point. When I was in middle school, bro, I would also be posting some bullshit on my Insta, on my Discord, but I feel like the it's not entitlement, but you really see this as like a let me go ask Reddit, am I the asshole? Let me see, we could see maybe Xavier's the asshole. Like, bro, you're just stupid as fuck, bro. And look, you could just keep it on some edgy stuff, but the fact that you posted his screenshot on your story for no reason, like what was the reaction you were craving? People would reply to your story, "Oh my god, OP, you're so fucking cool for having an edgy status and then putting a Xavier's comeback on your story, like, boom, final blow, mic drop, turn to Christ? Fuck no. I'm putting it on my story. Little boy, checkmate." Like, what do you get from this, bro? Genuinely. So, in my opinion, you're not an asshole, but if we had to throw the title on someone, it'll definitely be you. There was no reason for you to be doing this. Am I the asshole for yelling at my mother when she told me to get out and shut up? Hello, everyone. I'm looking for your judgments regarding an argument I had with my mother around 2 days ago. I'll provide as much detail as I can. My wife, 2 daughters, and myself live with my parents, 61 female and 71 male. Yes, I do provide support to the household through buying food, repairs, maintenance, and remodeling. It was agreed to by my parents, and I have upheld this side of the agreement. I work 5 days a week as a handyman and on their home on weekends. So no, I'm not freeloading in any way. My mother babysits our kids during the week because I've gotten seriously hurt on jobs before while I was alone. So my mother wanted my wife to come with me just in case something were to happen and I need help, which I completely understand, but this is what ultimately brought us to the current situation. 2 days ago, my daughter came back asking if her friend could play. She was told not now. She told me she was going to ask in 30 minutes, and I told her no. It will be late in 30 minutes, so she couldn't go back out to ask again. Long story short, the typical 7-year-old butt logic cut through. She went to tell grandma, and I went to ask my father something. As I'm talking to my father, he says, "Oh, you're in for it now." I turn around to see my mother looking obviously pissed. Cutting another long story short, my daughter lied to my grandma about what happened, which my father confirmed. My mother started to raise her voice as I walk away, saying, "I don't want to argue about this. It's been a long day," and even Dad backed me up. This is a major deal and surprised me, but that's another novel. My mother then started saying, "I'm going to say what I want to say, and you can't just walk away from me." To which I responded, "I don't want to fight." She lied about what happened, and now I'm going to get yelled at. My mother started yelling that she's my mother and I will show her respect, and you don't do anything in this house. That was when I turned around and yelled, "I don't do shit. Didn't I remodel your stairs?" "I didn't." She cuts me off and yells, "Shut up, just stop talking." I said, "No, I'm a person. I'm allowed to speak. I'm allowed to have emotions." She says, "I'm your mother and you will show me respect." This is when she opens the door and tells me to get out. I said, "No, you want me out, evict me. I want to justify an eviction. I've done nothing wrong. I've never said no." She stormed up the stairs and slammed the door. The next day, she told my wife, not me, "You need to find an alternative person to take care of your child." She had not responded to me or my wife since. So Reddit, was I in the wrong? Am I the asshole? Now, I understand. I think I would get pissed in that situation too if I was told I don't do shit around the house and I'm actively getting hurt, I'm actively working for the house. I decided to swoop into the comments and a lot of people aren't really having it. They're not too happy. One guy just straight up told him, "Everything you're saying sucks. Move out. Stop mooching." Shit, I didn't see it like that personally. But the more I look into the comments, the more I look into the extra context, and the more I just look into the post in general, I can see how it could actually be the OP in the wrong. The OP is the asshole. First of all, he doesn't pay rent. He has stated in the comments that he pays rent via labor. I think it's about time you just go live on your own, man. Just get out of your parents' hair. Both are in the wrong, but it's more on the OP. Just get a fucking house, man. Just find a place to live, an apartment or something. It could be easy for me to say because I'm still a kid, but I feel like the dude just has to move out so both parties win. Traveling to Japan mentally broke me. I recently came back from my vacation in Japan. I stayed there for about 3 weeks. I was so happy there. I had the chance to move there for the long term in 2017 because I could have gone to Sophia University for college, and I'm kicking myself for not doing it right now. I ended up going to some mediocre college in rural America. When I was exploring Japan, I noticed how much better my autism felt. It really felt like the order and calmness to everything made me excel more personality wise. Dating was one of those things that stood out to me most. I've always struggled in dating because I'm autistic and kind of short, but it was so much easier in Japan. I actually even had some casual hookups with some women there, which was something I've never done in the States. I loved how walkable everything was too. It made me feel more stimulated, and I hated driving. I also loved speaking Japanese with people. My Japanese isn't the best, but I would love to speak it fluently. It felt so good to see people's smiles to me being able to say some words. I also had fun appreciating Japanese pop culture. I love city pop, anime, and manga. I could have escaped from my abusive mother earlier if I came to this country for college. I feel like I missed out on living life to the fullest for not going to Japan for university. I feel like I'd be a happier person nowadays if I did, and it's been getting to me. I have better mental health and likely healthier relationships with people. Let me tell you something, bro. Japan is lit. I went to the States recently, and I've lived in Japan for a good majority of my life. But the moment I went to the States, and the culture shock was just massive to me. I really do like Japanese culture more. I really think Japan is a great place to be. If anyone wants to move over, if anyone is just sick of the life they have in America, I think Japan should be the go-to. Japan is so nice. I found like a repost of a post that's 4 years old. So let's get into it. I haven't read this one yet, so we're both going into it. Am I the asshole? Asshole. Am I the asshole for asking my wife to dress up, not down? My wife and I have been married for 6 years now. My wife Grace is beautiful. She is a very girly girl, liking things that are pink, flowers, purses, and heels. Before the pandemic, Grace would always dress for a runway. She would have makeup, heels, dresses, perfume, smooth skin, and all that. During the pandemic, though, my wife's job got moved to an at home. She stopped her beauty routine and spent most of her days in long t shirts, shorts, sweatpants, or her pajamas. I understood it because really wouldn't go anywhere. Grace also stopped wearing makeup, doing her hair, and shaving. While this bothered me, because I like having a beautiful wife, I figured it was till her job got moved back to the office. Now things are open again. My job has been moved to the office, but Grace told me she didn't want to return and opted to keep working from home. Her ro- her ward, well, her wardrobe has completely changed in 2 years of the pandemic. She hardly wears her dresses, cute shirts, skirts, makeup, or anything like before. It's men's t shirts with saying on them like I'm grumpy, jeans, sweatpants, and tennis shoes. And she has completely stopped shaving and waxing. Now she'll dress up a bit if we go out or if we have company, but that's it. Grace tells me it's too much work. So now for the part where I may be an asshole. Since we haven't done it, I suggested a night out at an expensive restaurant. I did pick this restaurant on purpose. Grace said no and suggested we order takeout. When I refused, she suggested a restaurant like IHOP or Chili's. Her excuse? She didn't feel like shaving her legs for one of her dresses and wanted to be comfortable. I snapped, saying, "It wouldn't hurt if you dress up for once." She accused me of only liking her looks. This isn't true. I told her that I was just tired of feeling like I'm living with a homeless woman. Grace ended up locking herself in our bedroom. I know my words were harsh. I ordered a pizza to try and apologize to her, but she wouldn't open the door and I slept on the couch. Right now, Grace is giving me the cold shoulder, refusing to speak with me or be in the same room as me. I know I hurt her feelings with my words. However, I think this is depression or isolation from the pandemic since Grace had no problem looking like a model. Am I the asshole? In my opinion, it's a nothing burger situation, but yes, you are an asshole, dude. You're such a dick. If she doesn't want to dress, bro, she doesn't want to dress. And if you really want to go out, you could at least just be like, could you please just dress in what you can so we can go. There's no point to snap at her and do all that, bro. In my opinion. Am I the asshole for giving away the car that my daughter used? Whew. All right, let's get into it. I, 46 male, have a daughter, Tava, 21, who is in college. When she started college, I bought her a car because she needed one to get around. The car has always been registered in my name, partially because it kept insurance costs down, but also because there was an understanding that the car was a privilege I was providing to her, not an unconditional gift, or not even a gift. I told her when she got the car that if she started going down a path I strongly disagreed with or seriously disregarded our expectations, I reserved the right to take the car away. Recently, Tava has been acting up. We've had several disagreements, and things have gotten increasingly tense. A few days ago, we had an argument about something I thought was important, and she refused to do what I asked. For me, this was the final straw, so I decided to exercise the condition that we have agreed on. I took away the car. Except I didn't just take it back and put it in the garage. I donated it to a charity that accepts used and junk cars, sells or recycles them, and uses the proceeds to help children and young people in need. Tava is furious. She says I went way too far and that taking the car was one thing, but permanently giving it away was vindicative, like a vindicator in Minecraft. She says she needs the car for college and that I should have kept it and potentially let her earn her back. My position is that the car was never hers. I paid for it, I own it, and she knew from the beginning that there were conditions attached to having it. I also don't see the donation as spiteful. If I'm going to get rid of it anyway, I'd rather have the proceeds go towards helping kids than having the car sitting unused. My son is completely on my side. He says that Tava knew exactly what the arrangement was and that I'm simply following through on a consequence I warned her about. My wife sees both sides. She agrees that Tava has been pushing boundaries and that there needs to be consequences, but she also thinks I crossed the line by making the consequence permanent and that I should have simply taken the car away. Tava says I'm punishing her far more harshly than the situation warranted. Am I the asshole here? I do see a point that typically people do not give away fairly new working cars to this organization, but I felt like it was important she understand. What a fucked up thing to do. So, after a few disagreements, after a little bit of this, a little bit of that, the conclusion that you come up with is permanently taking away a necessity from your daughter. If I ever have kids, I don't think that's going to be the thought process for me. As the daughter said in the post, the father could have gave her the privilege to earn it back. This guy is out of his mind, off his gourd, to donate a fresh car to a good cause because his daughter's acting up. Just give it some time, bro. Boyfriend fakes death, then calls my reaction manipulative. Me and my boyfriend, I'm 21F, he's 24M. I don't know why I said that. 21 female and 24 male. Together for 3 years. We live apart, but have had plans to rent together soon. Everything's perfect before this. Backstory: I have a history of self harm. I've done it since I was 11 years old. The last time I did it was 2 years ago. I have some brutal scars, but I'm not. No. I have some brutal scars, but I'm doing much better and I'm in therapy. It's been a while since I've had the urge. My boyfriend had an ex before me who played a lot of mind games with him. I feel like it's relevant as he thinks sometimes I'm playing games with him even when I'm not. For example, he was wary when we started dating that I would self harm for attention or do it to punish him. His ex would threaten things like that if he ever left her. I don't or haven't ever done this despite my struggles. I am pretty good with being patient. Until this, I have considered us a really healthy relationship. Main story: boyfriend went out to drink with his friends. I usually hear from him as he gets home around 2 a.m. to let me know that he is home and safe, but I didn't hear anything last night. I figured he just forgot, no big deal, and I went to bed as normal. I woke up at 11 a.m. to a bunch of missed calls from his mother. They live together. I called her back, and she texted at 1 p.m. that she couldn't talk. I was kind of worried and told her as much. She said my boyfriend didn't get home last night and was in a crash and didn't make it. It was super weird to me since I get on well with his mom and would never expect to be told this via text. After showing After some more texting, I fully believed my boyfriend has passed away that morning and I totally shut down. The people I live with were all out that day, so I was alone. Grief set in immediately and I had an extremely bad relapse on my self-harm. At that point, I didn't even care. I was hurting so much and my usual coping techniques were not doing the job. I listened to old voice notes of his and even sent one telling him how much I loved him through the most unhinged sobbing I've ever done. Well, he arrived at my house 20 minutes later saying it was a prank since he got into a small bump and thought I'd get mad about him driving drunk, as well as him mushing up his car a little. And him and his friends came up with this plan just to make me happy that he was all right. So they took his mom's phone and the above happened. I obviously was thankful that he wasn't dead, but I had a million other stronger emotions. I was so angry that he drove drunk, so angry that he saw nothing wrong with it, so angry that he would lie about something so serious, and absolutely heartbroken that he let me sit there in grief for over an hour until I sent a voice note that made him feel bad, plus lots of other things I'm struggling to articulate. He found out I harmed and flew off the handle. He said I punished him and turned a harmless prank into something much more serious and ruined the joke of it. He said I was guilting him for having fun and now he can't trust I won't do it again. I even suggested I stay in the hospital for my mental issues for a few weeks and crank up therapy. He said he can't leave me if he wants now or else I'll act like this, just like his ex. I probably should look into therapy if I'm still resorting to it, I admit, but this is not an everyday bout of anxiety or even a breakup. I thought he had died. I am also very aware of his actions were massively shitty and he was being so manipulative in the aftermath. How is it a punishment if I thought he was dead? I absolutely would not react like this if he just broke up with me and I have never said or hinted at that. I'm not really sure what to do now. My gut tells me to leave him over this, but I'm so unsure. The moment I read that, like his snapback, bro, I was trying not to laugh, cause this guy pretends to die, pulls this sick prank, and comes over back to the house, back to the girlfriend's house, and is like, "You gotta chill out, man. It's just a harmless joke." Editor me here. My audio recording cut off after that, but no, yeah, I think it's really funny. You come on, it's not my fault. You can't take a joke. You need to up your humor, lady. Me pretending to die, that is comedy in its finest form, and you can't appreciate that. So I think you're in the wrong here, milady, madame. Bro, this guy is stupid, bro. She has to leave him over that, in my opinion, bro. Like, what's stopping him from doing it again? I know he says like he can't do it again because he doesn't want her to harm herself, but what's really stopping him from doing that again? I called 911 on my ex boyfriend, and now he is a registered sex offender. My ex and I have been together for 3 years when this incident occurred. Our son was 3 months old and is now 2. My ex was a cheater, and I found out that he cheated on me my entire pregnancy and was also still doing it while I was 2 months postpartum. I didn't say anything initially because I was so heartbroken and suffering from severe postpartum depression and anxiety. He left the house one night and said he was going to his best friend's house. I had a gut feeling he was lying, and we had each other on Life 360, which is like a GPS app. And I checked his location and discovered that he was pausing his location, so it appeared that he was still home. I remembered that he had shared his location with me on Find My once, so I went to see if he still shared it, and miraculously was. He was driving to 7-Eleven, and I watched his location, and he started to head toward his friend's, and I started to feel guilty until he passed his friend's house and parked at a park. I watched his location for 20 minutes and contemplated going there myself, but I wasn't going to drag my infant out of the house. I just sobbed and sobbed because I knew he was likely with a random person. I had found videos of him fucking people outside in the parking lots when I discovered him cheating. I called 911 and reported 2 people having sex in the park, then went to sleep. The next day I woke up to missed calls from the police station and his mom. Nobody could bail him out, so he sat there for a couple of weeks until he had a court appearance and was let out with a date to come back. In those few weeks I felt pretty free and great about my decision, His family was super disappointed as his mugshot for public indecency and lewdness became public. He ended up taking charges for public indecency and lewdness, and he had to register as a sex offender, which has since been an obstacle for him to parent. Because he was at a children's park, it made this case pretty difficult, and he wasn't allowed most places with kids. He can't come to our son's swim class or any daycare events. I feel kind of guilty. Nobody knows it was me who called the police on him. I feel a lot of guilt because I know this will impact our son's life for the rest of his life. It's a choice I can't take back, and a choice I made out of anger. Now, I'm not gonna lie, that was a bit of a heavy one, but prayers to the OP, bro. I hope she finds a better person and gets in a better position, because that's kind of crazy to be doing, going out and fucking people out in parks and shit. She's definitely not in the wrong. She shouldn't really let that weigh her down. If he became a sex offender, then he needed to be a sex offender, you know? So, yeah, I really do hope she gets in a better place. Am I the asshole for demanding my sister, 18, pay for the damage she did to my car, even though my parents are offering me the money instead? I, at 21, have been living at my parents' house during the summers when I'm not at college. Before I left for college, when I was 18, I used the money that I saved for over 2 years of working part time jobs in high school to buy myself a cheap Toyota Camry. The car is almost 10 years old and has, oh shit, 10, 160,000? It's 160,000 miles on it, so I'm preparing to buy a new one. This past week, my younger sister, F18, was preparing to go back to school. She does not have a car and never held a job. My parents go easy on her because she's the baby of the family. She gets whatever she wants. Because she has no car, she often borrows our mom's car. That car is nice, so my sister is only allowed to drive it within the city limits and not go on highways. As school was starting, my sister's senior year, she was getting ready for an event called Senior Sunrise, where all the new seniors at the high school would join together and go to the beach and watch the sunrise to ring out a new school year. My sister told my mom about this, and my mom reminded my sister of her rules that my sister is not allowed to drive out of the city limits with her nicer car. The beach is about an hour away. My mom told her to carpool with a friend instead. My sister then decided instead she would ask to see if she could borrow my car. My mom wanted to please her and came to me instead of telling my sister to ask me, and asked my sister if she could borrow my car that day since I wasn't going to college for another 2 weeks. I didn't want to say yes. After a 30-minute argument, I begrudgingly agreed, but told my mom I want the car cleaned out after, sand and such, and also some money for the gas she used. My mom agreed and gave me a $20 bill to pay off the gas. I was annoyed it was my mom's money and not my sister. The day of senior sunrise came, and when I got up, my mom went to tell me that my sister had sidewiped a concrete pole in a Starbucks drive-thru and the entire passenger side of my car was destroyed. The door was caved in and wouldn't open. The window wouldn't even roll up. There were green paint scrapes all over my silver car. While I would be able to swing the money to get myself a new one, I didn't want to unless the car was done for good. I told my mom that my sister was going to give me the money and I would have gotten on the trade in. My mom said she would give me the money, but that's really not the point. My sister has zero sense of responsibility or independence. I told her even if my sister needs a job and pay me back in installments, that would be fine, but I would be reimbursed by her and not my parents. My sister got home that night and I announced the same thing to her. She threw a fit, a literal tantrum, screaming and crying that she didn't want to get a job because it would ruin her senior year. I told her she needs to own up to her mistake. Am I the asshole? Yeah, you're kind of the asshole, lady. I would be pissed too, yeah. Especially if she destroyed my car. But also, I'm not the parent. I'm a sibling. It's not my job to parent her. It's the parent's job to parent her. Would I be pissed if this were to happen to me? Yeah, that's my car I saved up for. But also, it's not my job to be a parent. That goes, to my parents. So I would let them work it out. But if my parents are willing to pay for it, but it's whatever. Like, I'll just take the pay from my parents. Just a heads up, if you want to see more videos like this, please like and subscribe. This is my first time doing anything like this, so I know I sound emotionally detached and like a super or a tough manipulator, but I'm really not. I'm trying to get into it, trying to be a big part of the community. And also I want to save up for Pokemon cards, but I don't know. If you want to see more content like this, please do like, drop a follow, watch this video fully, and help me out. And I'll provide you with more Reddit stories. But that's pretty much it. Thank you. Let's keep going. Am I the asshole for helping my sister secretly replace her husband's wardrobe while he was out of town? Asking here because it's blown up in my family, and my husband is also really mad at me for being a part of it. So I have a twin sister, 26 both of us, and we live only 20 minutes apart. She recently got married to her boyfriend of 4 years. 2 weeks ago, she asked me to go over and help her with a project she had in mind. I get there and find out that my sis basically bought a ton of new clothes for her new husband. Some background: my new BIL has a really good professional office job in tech, but dresses atrociously. Like, honestly, so bad, people have definitely taken pictures of him in public. His go to look outside of work is like cut off jorts, sleeveless tees, or raggedy sweatshirts with holes in them. He's also incredibly protective of his look because he doesn't see anything wrong despite being a 30-year-old fully grown man. My sis has had countless fights over this since he dresses like this to family outings and completely embarrasses her in front of our entire extended family. He absolutely refuses to compromise on this so far. Anyways, we're standing over piles of new clothes and she asked me to put him up in his closet and remove the trash he has in there. Mostly the really raggedy clothes with literal holes. We leave a few shirts and shorts, but most got packed up in her trunk to be thrown away. This goes fine, and we're actually pretty proud of our work since he now has brand new clothes that, 1, actually fit him, and 2, look good and proper for his age. So the nightmare begins 3 days later when he gets back home to find a brand new wardrobe. Instead of actually looking at the clothes or being the tiniest bit grateful of his wife's work, he absolutely loses his mind and rages at her. She's crying and stays with us, and my husband is also mad at us, saying we've crossed lines. Now we're here nearly 2 weeks later, and it's no better. My husband is mad at me for helping her and my sister, and her husband is still not talking to her. I think he's being absolutely ridiculous and immature, and I also don't want this issue to hurt my own marriage. Am I the asshole? Yes, you are the asshole, dude. Digging through people's stuff without permission would make anyone lose their mind. I understand you wanted to make it a surprise, but that doesn't give you any right to go through someone's stuff uninvited. That's just asshole activity in any given moment at any given time. Yeah, this lady is 100% the asshole. I hope she is able to see that what she did was wrong. And her sister, too, for sure. I kind of forget that her sister kind of started this whole thing, too. This one is long, so sit back and relax. Today I fucked up for talking to myself at work and got fired for being racist. What a first impression. This happened a few days ago, asking for advice slash opinion, and am I the asshole? First time posting, long time reader. I, 31 male, was employed at a company through a staffing service. Unlike most companies I've worked for, they allow temp to hire in 45 days instead of 90, which is a huge perk in my opinion. As in the norm, I had to take a drug test and do a background check before I got hired. Passed both, of course, and had my first day in less than 3 days after being approached with the offer. During orientation, it was revealed how tight of an attendance policy they have and is even tighter for temp employees. At first, this didn't pop up on my radar of worries, as I usually have no attendance issues and only miss work when I absolutely have to, or have the PTO to cover time off. Then came my reality check. Datte ba yo? My fault. What was presented to me as a regular 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, with the occasional Saturday for scheduled OT, turned into a new hire's nightmare. My first week, I had just over 60 hours. I know, tryhards, you remember your first part time job. And I had sat regrettably on my ass for 7 months prior before starting this position. As the fright train is that I'm over 30 blindsided me, my body had finally had enough. I woke up in the middle of my second week and could not get out of bed. My hands were swollen from the sudden transition to all day gaming and watching TV to the all day slamming, clenching, climbing. The marathon of 10 straight 10-hour days in cramped working conditions caused my back to lose all ability to stand up straight, and I threw in the towel for my first point. Two more call offs came after that same reason. A few minutes late gave me another point in the next week, along with having a couple unplanned family emergencies. By the book, I had already exceeded the allowable time off for a temp employee. Time skipped to my 45-day evaluation, and from the HR's point of view, I'm dead weight. For some added context, this is a position in all weather conditions rain, snow, below zero, over 100. You're working. I just so happened to be blessed with this position during a heat wave where, for over a month, temperatures reached 95 degrees Fahrenheit, which, for the people who don't understand Fahrenheit, is 36 degrees Celsius, with humidity pushing into the hundreds daily. Not the best working conditions for an out of shape house troll that would go on days, sometimes weeks, without even stepping outside. Not making excuses for missing work, that one is on me, but it gives you enough of an idea as to the reason behind all the attendance issues. The plant manager calls me in his office and explains that I am being recommended for termination due to my attendance by HR, but my supervisors convinced him my work ethic and quality were worth giving me another chance. At this point, it is worth mentioning that I am admittedly hot headed. This gets me into trouble as I have a bad habit of getting upset about something while not having all the information, and I make myself look like an asshole before I am able to give out an explanation. I will admit when I'm in the wrong or I've made a mistake, and most situations are easily resolved after communication with the proper channels. Context clues should fill in the blanks here. Anyway, I'm given an extension to my hire on date under the condition that I'm not late, leave early, or call off within that period of time. Easy peasy. At this point, I've gotten used to the job, and the OT had finally backed off to much more regular working hours. Which brings us to what transpired a few days ago in what I can only describe as a cruel joke. For this company, temps have another background check and drug screen done before being transferred to official full-time status. After sticking with it and spending all this time with the company as a temp and becoming a dependable worker with a good reputation, I was proud of myself to finally be going full time and had this one last step I had to complete. It was victory formation time, and all there was to do was let the clock run down. Incoming one little itty bitty tiny mini inconvenience that led to everything exploding in my face and unraveling in just under 4 hours. I get a voicemail while I'm working for the lab where I completed the drug screen to discuss the results and to give them a call back. On lunch, I get the news that, unfortunately, due to an error at the lab, my sample wasn't able to read properly and was labeled as incomplete. All this meant was I had to schedule another drug screen in a few days and all would be right as rain. No biggie, right? Yeah, no biggie. Wrong. My fault. Instead, I made the decision to become frustrated with my luck and threw myself a pity party. Of course, I had to wait one more week. Of course, the lab had to just make one little mistake. Of course, I couldn't pull up my big girl panties and suck it up a little bit longer. Alright, a little pause real quick. This dude's like terminology. It's kind of like the quirk. The quirk is insane. Big girl panties kind of caught me off guard. But let's get back into it. In the light of this news, I seek out my supervisor and inform him that this slight hiccup that has left me with a not so oblivious resting bee face and tone deaf to the quiet office space I'm currently in. He tells me to inform HR and they will let me know on what to do with getting my situation handled best. Being it was lunch, none of the HR team were available at that time, so I had to wait until the end of the workday to sort it all out. I took one look at the empty office in the room of HR and muttered to myself, I'm just a monkey jumping, shooting through all these fucking hoops. What? What do you mean? Unfortunately for me, I said this loud enough that someone from HR that I wasn't aware of did hear me speaking from another room. But I wasn't loud enough to the point where they can understand what I said. After returning from lunch and finishing my shift, my mood had only slightly improved and I wanted to get it over with so I could go home and get a shower. I returned to the office and barely hid my annoyance with the situation. In hindsight, I realized I acted more aggressive than I tried telling myself at first. I was speaking louder than I should have been. I couldn't get over just how annoyed I was at having to redo a process that I just completed. It was such a small thing, and it was in my way of the fulfillment I was after. I didn't snap out of my triad, tirade, TIRADE, until they looked at me and said it wasn't their fault in a way that struck me down as more defensive and less apologetic. What? Hold on, I'll reread that for you guys. I didn't understand what I just read. I didn't snap out of my triad until they looked at me and said it wasn't their fault in a way that struck me as more defensive and less apologetic. I quickly stated that I understood this was in no way something I was blaming the HR team for, and that it was an error on the lab's end. There wasn't anyone to lay all the blame for, and these sorts of things happen, as I'm very well aware. The damage had already been done, though. Once I finally calmed down some more, my social anxiety took over and I started replaying the interaction in my head, realizing I was the asshole by the time I was home and I needed to apologize when I went to the next day for how I acted. Their job is to help employees, and they do so even when it's a grown man whining about what's fair and what's not fair like a child. 45 minutes after leaving work, I was informed in an email that my assignment with the company was terminated, effective immediately for being loud and making hostile, confrontational comments toward HR. The ground beneath my feet vanished, and I could feel the pulse in my eyes. Terminated immediately. None of this made sense. They rescheduled my drug test not even 30 minutes ago. I just left their office. Being loud was fair, in what had me worried the most, but hostile and confrontational? I felt the smoke coming out of my ears from how fast my mind was playing, rewinding, playing over and over the events that just transpired, trying to understand where I crossed the line and warranted this sort of response. I wasn't going to come to any sort of acceptable answer that night or the next. I finally found out through a group chat the reason that wasn't given to me through my termination notice was due to making racial remarks toward the HR team. From there, I was able to ask someone about the specific remark made because that was where I was stuck. I couldn't for the life of me think of anything I could have said that would have came across as some sort of slander or that I would have said with the level of intent. I was upset about not being hired full time yet, but not to the point of making any sort of personal attacks on anyone. It was nowhere near that deep. From what I was told, when I made a remark comparing myself to a certain animal performing a circus act, the person that heard me thought I was saying something along the lines of HR team are a bunch of primates fucking footballs. I suppose, bro. What does that even mean? Primates fucking footballs? This situation has become so damn funny to me. I'm relieved because I now understand the seriousness and the reason for the reaction I got. If that phrase is what an HR employee heard from a temp hire about to become full time, then duh, no wonder. However, with the question answered, now I have more of a feeling of loss than I did before after being let go. I made really good friends and I genuinely enjoy being at work. I am able to express myself with the people on the crew. We're all a bunch of rejected misfit toys and work is our island. I had really high aspirations and looked forward to moving up in the company over the next few years. I can't say I've been sad to lose a job before, but I am crushed because I'm feeling the full extent of how much I cost myself over this, and I have so far heard from a couple sources that this decision is final and I'm done for good. I don't want to give up though. I put in a lot of hard work for this place. Built friendships, met families, had drinks, gamed online, given and received help. I don't want to accept that's gone because of a misunderstanding where I was never able to explain myself or even apologize for behaving the way I did, as I was wanting to do regardless. I hope I'm able to speak with anyone from management willing to listen and allow me to at least clear up with the HR what they had believed had happened. Whether I'm rehired or not is irrelevant to me. They gave me another chance when, by their standards, I should have been let go twice over attendance alone within the first 2 months. It would always be on my mind to have people I thanked and expressed my gratitude towards, thinking that what I did with their generosity, I don't know what that means. Maybe after hearing me out, they would have pity and let me reapply. Maybe both parties can't believe how this went this far, and after hearing the circumstances, an exception could be made. I don't know, man, but I want to try. So, am I the asshole? And should I try to get in contact and at least explain that I was misheard, which resulted in me being terminated? Oh, he even has a TLDR down here. TLDR. A delay at a collection center for a drug test caused my hire date to be re-extended. A coworker heard me talking to myself while I was frustrated about it, and I was terminated for racial comments. Oh wow, this post has 0 down and 0 up. So going off of the title alone, I thought this dude was just gonna be a turbo dick, but reading and getting the whole context of the story, it doesn't seem like it as much as I thought. But addressing the elephant in the room here, this dude needs some anger management control. He's acting like a child in a professional workspace. Then he hops on Reddit. Then he starts typing away. I was acting like a child. I was whining in chat. I don't really know how he's acting like this at 31. I think it's, but that's completely beside the point. I think this guy is kind of the asshole for saying what he said. He could have at least said it in his mind, or not even say it at all. But yeah, I can also see it as pretty rash on the company side for not hearing him out and just firing him off rip. But that's just how the cookie crumbles, bro. And as he said, I think it would be nice for him to go apologize and shit, but he should absolutely not be going out there thinking he has a chance of getting his job back. That's going to be it for today. This video was so messy. I recorded it at different times at different places with different microphones. But starting next video, I plan on actually getting my shit together and actually making them as quality as can be. So, yeah, please be tapped in. If you enjoy my video, please like and subscribe. And I'll see you guys later.